Pain, confusion, problems. With life moving so hectically, a bump in the road can feel like the end. After feeling gut-wrenching pain in my upper abdomen twice within the span of a week, I did not know whether to have myself checked by a doctor or tank the pain until my night shift. Knowing that no one could take my shift and having two women with a lack of understanding of my turmoil dictate what should happen next, my boss crying on the phone, "What do we do? Why couldn't you tell me sooner?" The attack struck 30 minutes ago. My mother replying, "He's starting to feel better, he'll come in, everything's okay." With me in bed barely holding myself still, wincing without a clue whether this pain is temporary or terminal. This was my turning point. Realizing that I was feeling guilty for something completely out of my control, ready to prioritize some shitty job over my health, I stopped their phone call, requested to be taken to the hospital, incapable of forming another thought within this shitstorm. After explaining my situation to the doctor and having the pain point scanned, it turned out my gallbladder was heavily swollen and now a redundant organ that can only cause more damage to my digestive system. I was put on a 1-day fast with the goal of laparoscopically removing said organ. With 24 hours to myself, I got to experience life with no control and absolute stillness. Loneliness was a non-issue. Rather, I enjoyed my own company. No words of judgment or shame that I'm not spending this time working towards a goal. There was no guilt involved, just the true form of what it means to love yourself. Now, things were getting real. My doctor came in, telling me all the things that might go wrong during the surgery. A patient who had just had surgery was put into my room unconscious with a bag of blood hanging from the abdominal region. And the lack of control started settling in. Now, my life was in the hands of absolute strangers, and the words, "I'll manage," were no longer my saving grace. There was nothing to manage. It was nice though. For the first time in my adolescent life, I was no longer grasping for control. Being a stoic was now forced and no longer a choice. My priorities went from planning the future and working on being my best self to just being, as relaxed and accepting that whatever happens, happens. Turning on my phone and consuming content in these final hours didn't even cross my mind. Scrolling was, as you'd imagine, not what I wanted to do, proving that all that time I've spent on my phone was indeed just a distraction and not a true form of entertainment. Instead, I spoke to other patients, the doctors and young interns. The only forms of entertainment I wanted to consume were books, people, and myself. Now that I'm out of hospital, these are the things I try to prioritize more. Self-distraction was no longer a skill I had or needed, because while speaking to my anesthesiologist, shaking in fear as he prepped whatever he was about to put into my bloodstream, I just wished to wake up and do it all again. As you can see, I'm A-okay. The stitches still hurt and I can't lift anything over 2 kilograms, but my mind, you could say, is better off than it was before the surgery. Having set my priorities as straight as my life experiences allowed me to, I am excited to strive as much as possible not to have any regrets or fear. If this were to happen again, without the option of seeing another day, I'd rather have no regrets.